welcome to Back Issues. I'm Sal.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Ben.
I couldn't be more excited to be talking about Green Lantern Rebirth circa 2005, drawn by Ethan Van Sciver. It's an Ethan.
Ooh.
And
I like him already.
And written by current DC Comics president, auteur extraordinaire, and occasional diner placemat lawyer, ambulance chaser, name Jeff Johns. Love that name. I don't know why.
Because it's great.
It's just
Jeff Johns.
It just works.
Yeah.
Have we met Ethan, whatever?
Van Sciver? Yeah, he's
was
done
he
it.
at a con that we were at?
Yeah.
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 I thought he was.
Yeah, we didn't talk to him for a length of time, but he's good.
I remember there was an artist named
Yes.
Ethan, so I'm just assuming that's the same guy.
It is. Green Lantern Rebirth came out around the I would call it the dawning age of modern comics, and I don't mean to say that like modern comics didn't exist before then. Obviously, you have like 90s comics, you had 80s comics. They're all in the modern age.
Okay.
That's the pitfalls of calling any age the modern age,
Right,
because
it becomes not
it
modern.
becomes irrelevant immediately following the next generation. So,
Right. But you'd say we're still maybe in the same era.
I would
as
say
this,
that we're-
if we were to group it.
yeah,
after the fact
we're in a
and
bold new era that I can't even quite name right now. I'd call it the event era, but I don't know about that because. But Hal Jordan, aka Green Lantern, has been put through the ringer by this point. He was considered to be the greatest of the Green Lanterns, and I'm not missing words here or anything.
in the whole galaxy?
In the galaxy,
yeah.
and I don't mean this is not conjecture or my opinion. Like Ganthet, the like supreme above all member of the Guardians who created the power battery of the Green Lanterns and are older than the Big Bang, has personally said that Hal Jordan is the greatest of them. Other Lanterns who would stand to benefit from being the greatest of them have referred to Hal Jordan being the greatest.
I mean, think about it. Abensor
Yes.
gave him his ring, and Abensor was
Was
the best
the greatest?
Green Lantern.
Yes.
Until Hal Jordan.
Until Hal Jordan, who dwarfed him in accomplishment somehow. And yet, at some point in the 90s, Hal Jordan became unsellable despite his greatness. And
Really? Even though they said
How
specifically
great he
that
is!
he was the greatest one.
so great, and yet he's so great he can't sell books. And so so great that he became a footnote in the reign of the Superman and resurrection of Superman. Superman comes back, there's 4 assholes, and then, oh, by the way, the Gotham City for Green Lantern Coast City is annihilated practically off-panel by a Superman villain named Mongol and a crappy rehashing of a Reed Richards joke. Kill thousands of people. His entire the Coast City
Tens of
is
thousands.
Tens of thousands. His entire place
I would say millions.
that he protects
millions.
is destroyed, decimated, so that Mongol could drive the Earth like a spaceship, which of course was defeated by whom? Superman. The only thing that Hal Jordan gets out of it is a broken arm.
Yeah, and he
Out of the
puts
whole
it in a
thing.
green sling.
Puts it in his silly green sling. And then, to top it all off, by the way, they then take that story and run with it, and they're like leading into this big anniversary issue of Green Lantern, where Hal's fucked, thanks to the Superman editorial staff, and then he uses, through hackneyed writing, the tragedy of Coast City as like a learning experience. He's like, well, you know, you are going to lose a few, but I think I've learned a lot from this experience, and I'm going to go off into a bold new direction.
Was this before or after he recreated all the citizens?
Immediately before.
Okay.
No, so so the writers like setting it up where they're like, Hal fucking suffered a tremendous loss, and now because he's the greatest, he fucking conquers
move on.
and moves on.
Yeah.
Next issue, he loses his mind, goes to the smoking crater of Coast City, and then uses the power of his ring to recreate the entire city and its inhabitants, and then just wander through it like a goddamn dream.
Hi, Mike. I'll take a turkey sandwich today. Delicious. It's all green. and
Until the power of his ring is tapped out, because you need to recharge.
Yeah.
As it runs out, and he goes, oh, all right, well, I guess I gotta recharge. Like, the whole fucking city just goes back away, and then
I guess I had to recharge it and make it all again.
and then a Green Lantern projection of Ganthet from the home world of Oa, which is the source of the Green Lantern's power
Does he
and the
show up
home
and just
world.
bitch slap him?
He shows up, and he's like, so Hal Jordan, fucking, what is all this? And Hal
You've been
Jordan,
draining a lot of power.
yeah, which by the way, their power, of course.
Are you monitoring my battery use? Why would you guys do that?
Set off an automatic alarm, man. You
Yeah.
stripped the fucking...
Well, no, they're the
circuit.
Guardians. They watch everything. They're you know. So they're older than the Big Bang. They monitor the whole
make any
galaxy.
sense.
What do you mean?
Older than the Big Bang.
Like there's
older than the Big Bang.
Well,
It's
yeah.
time has started in the Big Bang. How can you be older than the beginning of time?
Well, there was stuff before the
Yeah,
Big Bang.
there was.
but
stuff.
then that's not the Big Bang. Then.
Time may not
Right,
have
but
existed.
the Big Bang
everything.
to us. There have been multiple bangs, probably. So Ganthet sends a holographic projection of himself via lantern power to Hal Jordan. He's like, "You have used the ring for selfish purposes. Return to Oa for punishment." And Hal Jordan is like, "I lost everybody." And then he's like, "Yeah, well, fucking TS, man. And when your power ring fucking charges up, get the hell back here." And he's like, "You know what?" And he just fucking grabs the ring and he jams it into the this power projection. He's like, "Oh, just tap the power from your projection." He just absorbs the energy from the fucking Ganthet projection. He's like, "That's enough. That's just enough for me to get to Oa and fucking kill all of you." And then he just goes and he slaughters the core and he kills all the lanterns but Ganthet and fucking he literally taps into the power battery and he tries to steal everything. Fucking, it's a nightmare. This is their way of celebrating, of course, the rich history of Hal Jordan is by turning him evil and then effectively killing him. And then, it's funny because, people were pissed, but, nobody still bought the book. So they're like, fuck Hal Jordan, make him a bad guy. People were like, Hal Jordan fans were outraged. And they're like, what the fuck? How is he bad? What the shit is this?
Yeah,
like,
you should have bought the book.
Yeah, and they're like, all right, how about this? He sacrifices his life to save the universe. And that's not good enough.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
That's not good enough?
That's fucking...
He's still killed.
He's still dead!
That's the most you can do.
Killed all those
Entire
people.
core.
Yeah. He's still dead. He's still
And
out
he's
of
still
character.
dead, yeah.
So then, the Spectre, God's agent of vengeance, merges with...
Gods?
Yeah. There's no core.
Right.
But
I assume they
Ganthet...
come back.
Eventually, they choose another human named Kyle Rayner, and they make this artist from Earth into a lantern.
Maybe the best idea is not to pick another Earther.
I don't know. But, so they pick Kyle, and incidentally, this new ring that they make for Kyle is not susceptible to the color yellow, unlike all the other rings.
Oh.
All the other rings
They figure
suffer...
out.
Yeah.
They figure out how to make it
Well,
not susceptible.
It's actually all... See, what's funny is, okay, so in the old Lantern, not Alan Scott Green Lantern, like in the Golden Age Justice Society, but rather Hal Jordan when he first started, all the way through up until Parallax, lanterns, Green Lanterns were susceptible to the color yellow. It was weak to the color yellow. And they argue it because they're like, there's an impurity in the power battery which is susceptible to the color yellow. And that's all they say.
Okay.
It was just a silly way to make, to have a kryptonite for Green Lantern.
Yeah.
But when they
But
created...
it's a goddamn color.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's way easier to acquire.
Yes,
than
but it's also
kryptonite.
it's unseen. You don't really know. It's hard to think of. It's like making a password to a self-destruct sequence, like something very simple you would never really think to say. But anyway, when they created Kyle Rayner, they're like, that's stupid. Get rid of that. And so they threw that away, and Kyle Rayner is like, great. Now I can finally defeat the taxi cabs of the universe. So
No one will, thwart me with a banana anymore.
exactly. So Kyle Rayner goes about his business, and he sells pretty well because it's speculator's market and new Green Lantern, right? Then he gets boring because he's happy, so he kills his girlfriend and stuff her in a refrigerator, and now we gotta make him angsty, and people stop buying Green Lantern books. And so now they're like, oh no! It's happening all over again! Now we gotta make him hate his family, we gotta kill another city, we gotta have him turn into Parallax.
What city's he from?
They didn't do that. I'm just saying, they're like, oh, it's happening all over again!
We stuck
and in
that poor
shorter
girl in the fridge
time!
for no reason.
Yeah.
No reason at all.
That's true. They really did kill that poor girl for no reason. And it became a trope. They literally call it the girl in the refrigerator because of this stupid, I don't know what, I'm out of ideas decision.
This was in the 90s?
Yeah, that happened in the 90s. So late 2000, or early 2000s, 2004, 2005, they're like, we gotta fix Green Lantern again. Jeff Johns, could you fix Green Lantern? And he's like, I'm looking to make a name for myself and make my bones here at DC.
I also like what you did when you said my name.
I like that. I'm gonna keep that up, even though I've never done that in public.
Hi, I'm Jeff Johns.
So he picks up the mantle and he's like, I'll call it Green Lantern Rebirth. And they're like, good.
John
sounds
Stewart
good.
already made?
Yeah.
John Stewart existed, yes, in the 70s. They created him. And
Okay.
the idea was that there had been a couple of Green Lanterns from Earth. Hal Jordan, John Stewart, who's an African-American, and then after him, Guy Gardner, who sucks and is like a braggart. But he also experiences no fear.
Does Parallax kill them too?
No.
Okay.
No.
Are they not lanterns at that time?
Guy Gardner was ejected from the core, and then he stole Sinestro's ring.
Oh.
His Quardian ring, which is like a yellow ring, right? You're like, oh shit! Like Sinestro, who was a Green Lantern, who trained Hal Jordan, his power ring comes from the antimatter universe that belonged to the Anti-Monitor.
Mm-hmm.
It actually comes from a race of beings that are the antimatter equivalent to the Guardians, and they have the yellow ring from their like machine world or whatever.
But their ring isn't susceptible to green.
No, it's just a power ring that's yellow. And actually, Hal Jordan killed him when he became corrupted.
Okay.
Like Sinestro shows up, and he's like, "Fuck you," and he cracks his neck. And you're like, "Oh shit!"
But that wasn't when he was Parallax.
It was when he was Parallax.
Okay,
it was right before he became Parallax. He goes to Oa. The Guardians had kept Sinestro locked up in the power battery.
Ah.
He was a prisoner within the power battery itself on Oa. And they were so desperate to stop Hal Jordan that they released Sinestro.
Oh, shit.
And so Sinestro goes to battle Hal Jordan, and Hal Jordan just cracks his neck, fucking throws his body away, and then kills everybody.
And the Guardians are like, dump.
Yep.
Oh, we're fucked.
Yes, glad we all wear robes. So, anyway...
So are all the... Did they restore the core? I don't know.
They eventually... The Ganthet and Kyle eventually, like, start to try to reestablish. Yeah, they don't have a new core yet. It's really just Kyle kind of like going everywhere. There's like 3,800 sectors in the universe that the Guardians have established, and Kyle's everywhere.
Just zipping around.
Yeah, and in fact, the story opens with Kyle in the end of the universe, in the last sector, and he's battling this big space bug, and he saves these beings, and he uses his ring to interpret.
Kyle, you saved the space bugs, right? What? those were the beings we sent you to help.
Yeah.
Oh, I slaughtered all of them.
Oh, they were real ugly, so
I assumed that they were bad.
I thought they were the aggressors.
Yeah.
God damn it, Kyle.
So anyway, he helps them out, and they're talking to him, and they're just like, bah, and he uses his ring to interpret for them, and what they're saying is Parallax is coming, and you're like, oh shit, Parallax! Hal Jordan is coming back, and they touted, of course, like Rebirth. You see Hal Jordan everywhere. You're like, oh shit, and Hal Jordan is occasionally using his time as the Spectre. He'll like leave like God's whatever, like space, and go to Earth as Hal Jordan and like do things, but the Spectre is always there. So the Spectre will like, we have to go, vengeance, and he's like, oh damn it, and he goes for. But like even when he's trying, there's a moment where he and like Guy Gardner and Jon Stewart go to like a baseball game. Like, come on, man, like hang out with us. Because he shows up in Green Arrow Quiver, remember? And,
yes.
And at one point or another, he's a Spectre, and fucking Ollie goes like, "When are you gonna just come back to life?" And Hal's like, "Soon.
It's coming.
It's coming." And this is where it happens. So Hal's like there in body, and he'll occasionally show up, but he's kind of grim and miserable.
Well, he's dead.
Yeah, and he's also got like the spirit of vengeance attached to him.
Yeah.
So
that's never a nice thing.
No, it never puts you in a good mood. So he's like constantly besieged by these feelings of dread and vengeance and hate. Kyle eventually returns home from the experience with those bug creatures and dealing with and finding out the Parallax is coming. And he's like, he's in a hurry, so he like builds a spaceship more or less out of like, well, actually he uses a spaceship. He's not building one. He winds up getting a spaceship and then crashes it into Earth because he winds up like stopping by Oa and being like, Parallax is coming, and they're like, oh. And what happened was the Guardians, because Parallax is coming, and you're like, what does that mean? Hal Jordan was Parallax. Well, now we're establishing that like there's more to it than that, and that the reason why nobody knew that at the time was because the Guardians wiped the memory of Parallax from themselves, but like left it, like in fucking Men in Black 2. We need a sequel.
We got clues.
So I created a situation where I could deneuralize myself so that I can help you solve this problem.
So Parallax is some fucking ancient, like, evil thing that possessed Hal Jordan? Is that where we're going with this?
Bingo.
It's like the Phoenix Force?
Yes.
DC's Phoenix Force.
Yeah.
Parallax. All right. Now I'm with you now.
Yep. Well, what happened was...
Well, the Phoenix Force was able to do good. Was it ever able to do good?
Yes.
I mean, Parallax does eventually, too. In
Oh,
Does
in
he
Kingdom
show up?
Conversions?
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Fair point.
The Phoenix Force, not really. Like, it's just...
Isn't it just out for itself?
Yeah.
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 All right.
Once it attaches to a human being, it feels emotions, and it actually makes it worse.
For the first time.
It's like, oh, I like this feeling. I used to just have power, but now I'm aware I have power, and I like it. And you're like, no! Guardians give Kyle Hal Jordan's dead body and send him to Earth to guard it, because if Parallax is coming,
it's going to try to get in
it's going to try and get in his body, and because Hal Jordan had been Parallax, for whatever reason, his body is perfectly preserved. So there's no decomposition.
And his body was in the sun.
It was in the sun. They had to go in the sun and get it.
They went in the sun.
Yeah.
And got his body.
He used a lot of willpower to protect himself from the sun and went into it and got it. But, like, Jeff Johns' plan here, he's just like, I need to fix everything. I need to fix the lanterns. I need to work in continuity. I have to make it make sense. And I got to put some things back the way they were, because some things are lame. Like, Guy Gardner sucks, right? And he was a total jackass. He was the douchiest Green Lantern ever. Then they took away his power. They gave him Sinestro's ring, but then they wanted fucking Sinestro to be Sinestro again, so he needed his ring back. So then Sinestro gets his ring. Guy Gardner's got no powers, but people seem to like this fucking character. So then he gets stupid body materializing powers from an ancient race of aliens, and he becomes the warrior, so that his body can transform into whatever weapon he needs at the time of attack.
Oh, so that's what's happening.
Well, what happens
Because I thought he was a gremlin that got wet.
Yeah, no. He is turning into... His body is transforming into a weapon, because what's happening is every Green Lantern is feeling fear for the first time, and unknowingly is, like, being possessed and controlled by the entity Parallax.
Well, how
every
many
Green
Lanterns
Lantern
are there?
There's like 3.
Oh. All 3 of them.
But he's not a Green Lantern anymore.
No, but he used to
be.
be.
So he's still...
Yeah.
Some part of the Green Lantern Corps imprinted onto him, or...
Yeah, I would say that. It's like,
that's weird.
It's weird. But John Stewart also...
He was a Lantern for so long, you
Yeah.
just can't get it out of him.
Yeah.
You could take the ring off the lantern,
But you can't take the lantern out of the man?
I was going to say you can't remove the will.
Yeah, I mean...
Where there's a will, there's a way.
It's not
sure.
Even... No. And he winds up, like, attacking and destroying this, like, Green Lantern bar they have. And,
what is their bar?
They have a
There's
bar.
like 3 of them.
In New York City, they have, like, a fucking, like a Dave & Buster's, but it's like...
Oh, it's like a tribute bar.
It's like a tribute bar. It's like Planet Hollywood.
It's not where Green Lanterns go to drink.
No!
Okay, that's really what it sounded
No,
like.
no.
It's like a bar in space, and the
Yeah,
Green Lanterns
that'd be really cool.
I was remembering the Thor bar.
Yes, from Thor's.
Yeah.
No. This is more like Planet Hollywood, but for superheroes, and they have like a Green Lantern section.
Okay.
And
do they have the Spectre sandwich?
that's in Kingdom Come. But so Guy goes nuts. He attacks everybody, and then blows up the bar. And when they so the Justice League takes Guy's bar and he brings it to the watchtower on the moon, and they're like analyzing it to try and figure out what the hell's going on with him, because like he's in like mid transformation, so he's all like fucked up. And you know they get the intel back from the bar. You know, they send people to like check it out, and what they find...
That's an Sinestro?
No, that's Hector Hammond. He is a scientist and an old school enemy of Hal Jordan Green Lantern.
Is he the bad guy from the movie?
Yes.
Okay.
He plays no role in this comic except to speculate on appearing in future issues.
And look gross.
Yes.
Well, always.
Yes, always.
Yes.
The Justice Society and the Justice League go to investigate, and what they find is that everything's been destroyed except for the statue of Hal Jordan. And Batman's like, Hal Jordan. As I remember, he's a dick, and I hate him. So I'm going to blame everything on Hal Jordan. He had power of a god, probably not dead. Superman came back to life, all bets are off.
Bring me my paint.
I need to paint everything yellow. John Stewart is like really pissed at Batman because...
Oh my god, this is awesome. Batman's just in shadow the entire time.
Yes, because he's such a dick and he's so dark.
Until John Stewart shines a light in his face.
What's all this fucking tendrils and shit coming off him?
That's just Ethan Van Sciver, like, interpreting Batman. And Batman is bad-mouthing Hal Jordan. He's being a real dick about it. So John Stewart's like, that's enough, okay? Just because he killed everyone in the Corps and these oldest race of beings ever, and also reignited, like, he reignited the sun, and he was also super awesome before, so fuck you.
Right.
And Batman's like, fuck you.
No, fuck you.
Batman's like, I already took your ring.
They just get into a fucking... He's like, I know what the problem is here. It's that, like, fucking Hal Jordan was the man without fear, and, like, you're all about fear. And so you had a problem with Hal Jordan. Batman's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, don't give me your Psych 101 bullshit.
I'm just like a goddamn bat. There's a mystery here. Old and current members of the Corps, except for Kyle, because Kyle's ring doesn't have the susceptibility to the color yellow anymore.
Okay.
AKA the susceptibility to parallax. Oh. See, the idea was that, like, parallax existed, he was a problem, he was this cosmic entity that was fucking everything up, and the Guardians created the power battery and the Lantern Corps to contain parallax. And so they discovered that all they could do was, like, put him into a coma. They couldn't kill Parallax, because he's basically the embodiment of fear.
So Parallax was the flaw.
Parallax is the flaw. When they built the power battery, they trapped Parallax inside the power battery. So because lanterns draw their power from it, they will always have a susceptibility to fear and the color yellow, because Parallax is fear and yellow. Oh. So he, through retconning thanks to Jeff Johns, is the yellow impurity. And it's how Parallax is able to manipulate lanterns.
Okay.
Like, he can speak to them through their rings, because all the rings are conduits.
When Hal Jordan became Parallax, was there any yellow stuff going on?
No. What happens is when Sinestro was arrested by the Corps and put in jail in the power battery, the Guardians didn't remember, because they had wiped Parallax from their minds, that Parallax was in there. So when Sinestro was in the jail, he met Parallax, and they wound up getting to talking. And Sinestro and his hatred of Hal Jordan was intriguing to Parallax. So Parallax discovers Hal Jordan through Sinestro, and he's like, I know what I'll do. I'll fucking corrupt the greatest Green Lantern of all time, and I'll use his great power to find a way out. So Parallax uses Hal through his weakest moment. When Hal loses everything in Coast City, he's like, this is the time for Hal Jordan to give in to fear. Because the idea is that Hal Jordan never gives in to fear. It's not in his character. He's literally the man without fear. He's like Daredevil, but fucking Green Lantern. As Parallax starts to communicate to Hal, and in fact, throughout the 90s, when Hal Jordan starts to get darker, Parallax is like manipulating him and making him more fearful every day. And as such, it's actually stressing out Hal Jordan bodily. And you know how, like, you've seen different depictions of Hal Jordan with, like, white hair in his temples?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the influence of Parallax, like, aging him beyond his years because he's so afraid inside, even though he doesn't, like, even though he isn't aware of it. It's how Jeff Johns can retcon that Hal Jordan, when he returns, will be younger looking.
Oh, because he got rid of the Parallax.
When he purges Parallax, the white hair goes away.
So DC made him younger.
Yes.
Okay.
Or rather,
no, it's just
he was always pretty young. It's just that he looked older because of the Grey Temples.
So it's just hair club for men.
Is the idea that what is the basis of his fear? Is it because he failed once that he might fail again?
It's like he's afraid of, like, what will happen if he allows, like, the universe to carry on the way it is. Like, when he loses Coast City, he's like, I didn't do enough, they didn't do enough, I'm afraid
I wasn't great enough,
I'm afraid of my own failure, I'm afraid of the failure of the universe, I'm afraid of what will happen next. Right. That's his real fear. Right. His fear is of the future.
Right.
And so...
Well, if this could happen...
Then anything can happen.
I was
all
the
bets are off.
strongest,
Exactly.
I stop it.
I couldn't even say my own damn city.
Right.
It's
in
my
a Superman
city.
book.
Right.
So
everyone's fucked.
Yes. Random shit is starting to, like, come back. Like, for example, Carol Ferris, Hal Jordan's ex-girlfriend, after Hal went crazy and shit.
Not even wife.
Yeah, no. After Hal went fucking crazy and shit, Carol, like, moved on and met somebody else and got together, married the guy.
Oh.
And so, Hal's, like, Gal Friday / Lois Lane type character is now spoken for. She owned the Air Force Base, so the Air Force Base was also kind of, like, wrecked. And one day, during the story, the Air Force Base is just back to normal. In fact, all of Coast City is fixed.
What?
Like, out of nowhere, Coast City is just fixed. Except, there's no buildings. There's streets and there's lights, and there's one building in there. And it's Hal Jordan's old apartment.
Oh, that's fucking weird.
And the Air Force Base is clean and fixed and everything. And Batman's like, it's Hal, changing reality. Just like he tried to do in Zero Hour and shit. Like, no. And so the Justice League shows up at the Air Force Base, and they're like, and Hal's there because he wants to talk to Carol, and they're like, what's going on, man?
Hey, Hal.
Hey, Hal.
What
First
are you
of all,
doing?
I hear you're like the Spectre or something, and right now you're like hanging out, looking like a regular person. Also, congratulations on your dead city coming back to life. That's kind of weird.
And
Also,
coincidental.
Incidentally, that superhero bar has one superhero standing in its wake, and it's you. So we're thinking maybe you might know something about that.
And he immediately points to Zatanna and be like, it was her! Yeah. We said everything backwards.
So,
Why is Zatanna there?
Zatanna is a member of the Justice League
Really?
during this period, yes.
Okay, cool.
Did not know that.
Yeah, so...
I imagine that's incredibly useful.
Yeah. Oh, also, Guy Gardner's in a coma. You know, because, like, he got fucked up. And you hated Guy, so, like, we're thinking maybe you might know something about that. and Hal's like, what? No.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah.
I didn't. And then John Stewart goes fucking nuts and starts attacking the Justice League using his fucking powers.
What?
And because he's being influenced by Parallax. But we don't know that at the
We
time.
don't know that. We just
But
know.
John's just like blasting him, and then Hal Jordan becomes the Spectre, and he's like, fucking, we gotta go. And Hal's like, fucking... John Stewart's freaking out. He's blasting shit. He's like, yeah, but some little kid fell off his tricycle and skinned his knee. We gotta go. And like,
I hate you, Spectre!
Yeah, I gotta get out of here. I
Yeah.
got another thing to do. I got Spectre stuff to do. Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, whoa!
so they fuck off. And also, Hal Jordan is like suddenly, unlike before when they were like, let's create his new status quo as the Spectre. Suddenly, Hal Jordan is like at constant odds with the Spectre. He's like, I don't believe in vengeance. Like, I'm not all about blood and punishing the wicked.
Right.
You know, like,
I'm not even supposed to be here.
yeah,
Doesn't make any sense.
I've been hanging around you a long time, Spectre.
you're kind of a dick.
You kind of suck.
Yeah, you're a real downer.
Not only that, but, like, you keep going out for vengeance.
Yeah, like you never
Like,
just
you
take a
never get
break.
enough.
Yeah, it's never enough for you. So at one point, when Guy goes to the Watchtower, they call Green Arrow because it's a Green Lantern problem, and Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and Green Arrow were buddies
We need to get every green
Because they were green.
No, they were friends, and they knew each other for a long time. They actually used to like hit the road. There was a cool like Neil Adams series where the two of them like fought social justice.
Oh.
It was
Together.
called Greener Pastures.
It was called Green Arrow, Green Lantern. So the
Does Lex Luthor show up in a green power suit?
no, at no point does that happen.
Because you got every other
I
green
know.
thing happening in this book.
I know. So, but what's interesting is that apparently what happened was during his like we're retconning in a moment where after Hal and Ollie split up to like go on their own solo adventures, but before Hal became Parallax and died or whatever, he gave Ollie a Green Lantern ring.
Just had one sitting around?
Yeah, he had one. If you're ever in a fucking bind and your arrows can't get you out of it, you can use my magic power ring. And
I was
Ollie,
like, great.
Why don't I just use
It's
it all the
dead,
time?
though.
Yeah.
Can I charge it?
No.
No.
Ollie never fucking uses it. He keeps it in his thing, but he brings it with him because he's like, this is all connected somehow, like to Hal Jordan. So he brings it with him, and they're like, can you use it? He's like, no, I don't know. I don't know how. And suddenly, what the fucking stupid like warrior shit, the alien shit nobody gave a shit about with Guy Gardner,
Yeah.
starts to like fucking freak out and purge out of his system, and then the ring that Green Arrow holds splits into two, and the second ring flies onto the middle finger of Guy Gardner, and Guy Gardner becomes a Green Lantern again.
All right.
Hey, I'm fine.
What happens to the part that doesn't go onto him? It's still a ring.
Ollie keeps that ring.
He's still holding on to it.
Yes. So,
Okay.
yeah. So we established, like, that, you know, all of the lanterns are kind of, like, all of the coolest and your favorite Green Lanterns are coming back for this big fight.
Oh.
And Ganthet even shows up, and he's, like, here to explain, like, what happened, and then we get the whole, like, flashback about, like, where Parallax came from, why Ganthet remembers it, all that crap. And Hal basically has, like, an internal struggle.
A lot of green on these pages.
I mean, it's all green power and flashbacks. We're not even sure, like, if it's taking place. Like, Hal Jordan's, like, seeing visions, and of course it's going to be within green, but, like,
Okay.
Hal Jordan is just, like, freaking out because, like, he's being torn in half by the Spectre and the essence of Parallax. Because, like, while Parallax never, like, was still trapped in the battery, when Hal destroyed it, Parallax was freed. So if Parallax is free,
He's just been wandering around.
well, he's been like manipulating shit and he's like, I want you though. Like you're still like my vessel.
Okay.
But if I can't have you, I'll take other vessel. Like I'll take someplace else. So like Hal is being split in half by like Parallax and Spectre, and that's when Spectre reveals that like the reason why I chose you was because I knew that the Parallax like entity was within you, and I was hoping that my great power and my thirst for vengeance would be able to purge it from your system.
Well, see, if I feel you, then someone else can't feel you.
Exactly.
And, you know,
but
it's a thing.
all it wound up doing was just like making him more miserable and crazy,
And giving him heartburn.
and exacerbating the situation.
All right.
So, you know, then
Was that Parallax?
This is Parallax.
Yikes. He's scary looking.
Yeah.
He's got weird feet.
He looks kind of like the one from the movie.
Yeah. Well, the movie came a couple years after this.
Okay.
And Jeff Johns has actually worked on the movie with them.
Okay.
In fact, the movie took a lot from this.
Yeah, clearly.
Well, Parallax is like, look, Hal, like, now that you know that, like, I was within you, it doesn't stop the fact that you did all these things. Like, it's the way for Jeff Johns to let everybody, like, the purists who hate retcons be like, Hal Jordan did that shit.
Right, that happened.
But he wasn't in complete control of himself.
So it's like a little bit okay.
Yeah.
He still can feel tortured about it.
Yes.
But we don't have to feel
But
like
we don't
he's
have to
evil.
be anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we can accept the fact that he's a superhero.
And Sinestro shows up.
All right.
And then Sinestro shows up.
And then Sinestro shows up because we gotta have this cool fucking battle. Well, Sinestro is like, look, Parallax says I gotta go get the body of Hal Jordan because he wants to use it. So he goes to the Watchtower where fucking Kyle Rayner and Green Arrow are.
Okay.
Protecting the body.
Protecting the body.
Okay.
So fucking Sinestro attacks, and because Kyle has the like new Green Lantern ring that's protecting against the impurity, he's able to not die immediately because Sinestro is like incredibly powerful and also fucking like
and yellow.
But it's interesting because he basically handedly defeats Kyle Rayner, establishing that we need Hal Jordan to come back. And fucking Green Arrow has this cool moment where he's just getting his ass kicked, and he's like, he puts the fucking ring on, and it's not working because he doesn't have enough willpower. And fucking finally he's like, okay, like this fucking dude is gonna kill this stupid poor kid. So he just forces enough will for one arrow, and he fires it straight into the fucking chest of Sinestro. And
my one weakness.
It took like all of his effort and energy out of him to do this one really cool fucking thing. Parallax is attacking the Spectre, and the Spectre and Hal Jordan's soul is caught in the middle.
Okay.
And so like
this is happening externally or internally?
Externally, because the
like
battle
in space.
It's actually on Earth. It's actually happening right in front of everybody. Because like they're dealing with Guy Gardner, who's now a Green Lantern. Like Parallax resurrects Guy Gardner's ring so that he can use Guy Gardner as a pawn. So like he fires basically John Stewart, Green Lantern, and Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, at the Justice League to distract them and keep them from him achieving it, to keep them from preventing him from achieving his goal,
which is to get the body of
to get the body of Hal Jordan.
Okay.
So while that's going on, fucking Green Lantern and the Spectre, who is Hal Jordan, and Parallax and the Spectre get into this big fucking fight. And basically the Spectre's like, okay, like he purges Parallax, and then basically he's like, okay, Hal, like, bye. And so like Hal's soul is done. Like it's free of Parallax and of the Spectre. Okay. So as he is leaving, Ganthet, who decides, because Ganthet's a guardian and one of these, like, he's got great power, but you never see what it is.
Yeah.
But it's like an ancient power that like could probably, like, that could rival Parallax, but like you daren't use it. And
he's like Yoda a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like the idea of what Yoda could do.
Yeah, like we don't really know.
Yeah.
It's like implied that he's
super implied that he's super powerful.
Yeah.
So like Ganthet is doing battle with Parallax, and while that's going on, like Hal Jordan's soul is going to heaven, and Ganthet is like Hal, follow my light, and he fires this like green like light that's going to, that like takes a hard fucking detour from the white light of the afterlife towards his old body on the Watchtower.
Hal Jordan's like, skip heaven.
How about to
this nightmare of a world to help us?
Exactly. So like Hal's going to heaven, and he's visited by like everyone he misses, like fucking Abin Sur and his father. And
he met Abin Sur for 5 seconds.
But Abin Sur is like his fucking mentor, and it's his legacy. And so anyway, Abin Sur is just like, you're the greatest of us, and you fucking overcome fear. That's your job. That's what you do. And his dad's just like, you know what to do, boy. And so he fucking goes like, damn it. And he gives up paradise, re-inhabits his old body, which then like fucking Hair Club ferments his hair. Because all he has to do with arrows, and he already give up all of his energy to fucking fire one arrow.
What's like Superman doing?
Superman is battling with, or at least he's battling with 2 fucking Green Lanterns. They're powerful. Especially according to Jeff Johns, who loves Green Lantern.
What about Wonder Woman and fucking Aquaman?
They're all fighting. Aquaman's not there.
Batman's like,
throw
I'll be on this side.
So two
telling you what to
lanterns
do.
can take on the entire Justice League.
One lantern could take on the Justice League. Hal Jordan did.
Yeah, but he's Hal Jordan.
Yeah. But Guy Gardner and Jon Stewart are also very powerful.
And they have many powers,
right.
much like Balrog.
That's right. Anyway,
All
fucking then Hal becomes Green Lantern and he fights fucking what's his name, Sinestro. And
So he punches Sinestro.
Sinestro and they get into a big fight and basically Sinestro and Hal have this really cool fight where they go through the space. They're fighting in the fucking the orbit of Titan. They're like, it's really cool because it's
It's shit you don't get to see ever.
Yeah, exactly. Hal winds up just fucking punching his ring hand at Sinestro's ring, and the ring's come in contact, and Hal's just push a little harder, and it shatters fucking Sinestro's ring.
Oh.
And without the ring holding Sinestro together, he comes apart and is sucked into the antimatter universe, and he's just
shit.
and he's like, I wanted this, it's cool, I'm part of Parallax now, so see you next issue, and then fucking disappears. And
all right.
so then Sinestro
Well, you're going away right now, though.
Yeah, right, so
I beat you.
I don't need to
Fuck
deal
off.
with you. So then fucking Hal comes back to Earth and he calls up the core, who's left, which is Jon Stewart, recently revived Guy Gardner, Kilowog.
Yeah, Kilowog.
Who's just a really cool, big, pink pig-looking monster. He's a cool alien. It's never the core. And he's like, all right, guys, we gotta go. But, here's the thing. The Guardians taught us wrong. We are not without fear. We need to acknowledge it. We don't have to feel it. But we have to remember what it was like to fear in order to be stronger than we were.
To overcome it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's like, don't feel fear, remember it.
Well, what happened to Parallax?
Parallax winds up infecting the body of Ganthet.
Oh.
And becomes a even more powerful monster.
Oh, well, there we go. Now we're screwed.
Yeah, so we gotta go defeat...
It's the remainder of the core versus Parallax Ganthet.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's funny, there's a great moment where, so Hal's like, all right, guys, let's go! And then Batman fucking whips his Batarang around Hal, and he's like, oh, no. You're not fucking charging to battle, having just recently resurrected yourself. Fucking, you have a lot to answer for. We're the Justice League. This is what we do. We'll handle this.
Oh, wow.
And then Hal just fucking punches Batman in the face and lays him out. And... and he's like, we don't have time for this shit, Batman. This is a core problem. Fuck off. And then they leave. He kind of chills out later, but for now he goes, well, there's a fucking godlike monster in the sky. Justice League, here's what we're gonna do. And he starts ordering the Justice League where to go. And then fucking Alan Scott Green Lantern from the Justice Society, who has no connection to that core. Okay, so he was the first Green Lantern, right? From the comic book universe, and then brought in. His powers are magic-based.
Okay.
He has a Green Lantern, but it's magical.
It's unrelated.
And it's unrelated! So he has no connection to this, and he basically stops the Justice League, and he goes, the core will handle this. Let the Green Lanterns, basically protect and rescue their legacy.
Right. He's
and Batman's
and what are you doing exactly? And why do you even care?
And Superman's like, whoa, don't piss this guy off.
Yeah. He's got magic powers.
I got a real weakness to this.
Yeah, the remainder of the core just attack Parallax, rip open Ganthet's mouth, and then just pull Parallax out of it, and just wind up re-imprisoning Parallax into the power battery.
Okay.
Because it worked so well
back
before.
in. Yeah. Well, but this time they don't wipe everyone's memory, right?
That's right.
So they won't accidentally put someone in there who'll fuck everything up.
That's right.
Wait, so this means they're still susceptible to yellow, though?
Actually, now that they've defeated and acknowledged Parallax, because they remember fear, because they refuse to live in this self-inflicted ignorance of fear, they acknowledge it, they are no longer susceptible to the power yellow. The impurity no longer affects them.
Interesting.
But the impurity is still there. It just doesn't affect them?
It doesn't
Yeah,
affect
well,
them.
because they can probably sense it since they know it's there now.
Yes.
And be like, nope.
Yeah. And
No
they refuse
Parallax,
to.
fuck you.
That's right.
Stay down.
Mm-hmm. And
that's weird.
So we get so then Guy Gardner's like, woohoo, I'm a Green Lantern again, baby! And fucking Jon Stewart's like, I thought you didn't care. You were fucking talking about how great it was to be Warrior. He goes, yeah, no,
I lied.
It was horseshit. Are you kidding me? I was the Warrior. That sucks.
My body was all fucked up, man.
I had to transform. It hurt every time. It was stupid as shit.
Nobody liked that.
Nobody liked that.
Look at that sweet vest in my belt.
Yeah.
I'm awesome.
He had the vest. He actually carried over the vest when he was Guy Gardner, superhero with Sinestro's ring. It was just a stupid... Same exact vest as his Green Lantern vest, but it had a G on it for Guy. And you're like, shut the fuck up. The chorus like, woo! And then the fucking Justice League's just standing on one side, and Batman's in front of them, and he's just like, do you really expect me to believe that you went into space and defeated an ancient evil god, and that he's the reason why you were an asshole? He's the readers. He's like, do you really expect us to buy this? Right. That it was an evil, ancient fear entity that infected your body and made you do bad things? That's fucking stupid. And Green Lantern says, I don't even care. I don't care if you believe it or not.
Right.
We had a cool adventure, didn't we? And guess what? At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
You still bought it.
And Batman is like... And Batman acknowledges it by saying something like, well, like the universe could use a little more brightness. He lets Hal have it.
But not Gotham.
But no, right. Stay the fuck out of Gotham. And then Hector Hammond shows up and he's like, oh, I'm going to be in the book. And you're like, who gives a shit? So
does he actually show up to be in the book?
He's literally just like, oh, like he feels the power of Green Lantern return. He's like, oh, Hal Jordan's back. Here's the thing. There were two camps. There was one camp that was like, this is so trite. There's one plot. It's an ancient evil shows up, and it's the reason why everyone who was bad was bad. Mm-hmm. And, you know, how convenient. There's a lot of convenience.
Yeah.
And straightforward action, like, movie schlock.
Yep.
And there's the other camp that says, how fucking awesome was this book? Mm-hmm. Because, like, I really like Green Lantern Rebirth. I really don't like outright retcons. I think that, like, convenience is annoying.
Right.
But, like, so many things align in this that Johns just perfectly exploits in the... This is a perfect retcon.
Yeah.
Where it's like, why are they susceptible to the color yellow? That's stupid. Because there's a yellow impurity that is actually an ancient evil that is the inverse of their power.
Yeah.
Because they have great willpower, their opposite is fear. And that's actually how, like, Sinestro winds up getting his power. And they also introduce in this book, they don't outright say it, but they're like, there's a spectrum of power in the universe. And that's how they establish, like, the blue lanterns and the violet lanterns and, like, the star sapphires and shit. You're like, the red lanterns. And you're like, when that starts to come up, it expands the Green Lantern universe in a way that you never expected.
Yeah.
And
it makes it much more interesting.
It makes it interesting, it makes it unexpected, and it's also in a way that, like, no duh, it's in such an obvious way.
Yeah.
Where you're like, wow, like, this is shockingly simple in its execution.
Well, it also gives an arc to shit that was terrible, like Hal Jordan killing all the Green Lanterns.
Yes!
Like, it makes... There's like an original sin that's responsible, ultimately.
Yep.
Because they put Parallax in the thing.
Yes.
And they didn't tell anybody. And they tried to make it go away.
Mm-hmm. And they made themselves forget.
They ultimately laid the seeds of their own destruction.
That's right. And that's why it's like, that's really fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
And, like...
That's way better than Hal Jordan got fucking sad and
he killed everybody.
And he killed everybody.
And then he died. And now we got a young guy.
Yeah. That sucks.
That sucks.
This is great.
For a 70-year-long, like, history of this character, having him be like... Oh, like, you know, somebody who dropped out of comics in the 60s. Oh, Green Lantern, I love Green Lantern. Whatever happened to Hal Jordan? Oh,
he murdered everyone, and then
you know Coast City and everybody loved. Yeah, they were all killed by Mongol
in a Superman book,
in a Superman resurrection story, in which at the end of it, Superman gets a mullet,
and then Green Lantern breaks.
And then he kills everybody, and then he dies.
But it does reignite the sun.
What? Oh yeah, no. There's an alien called the Sun Eater, and it fucks up the sun. And then Hal Jordan, who is before that actually, he tries to remake the universe.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And thankfully through it, he winds up aligning all the Hawkmen into one Hawkman that is infinitely more complicated than ever before.
Well, thank God for that.
Yeah. Oh well, thank you for bringing me up to speed. I forgot why I dropped out of comics.
Or thank you for bringing me up to speed. Gun.
Yeah. But, like, it's perfect. It uses the one villain everyone likes that Green Lantern has, Sinestro, makes him an agent of Parallax. Sinestro had a yellow ring. It's from, like, the fucking antimatter universe That sucks. But what if
But
it was
it is
actually
yellow.
connected? But it's yellow, and if we make fucking Fear yellow, and we make fucking Parallax yellow, with the Impurity yellow, then it makes fucking Sinestro connected with Parallax, and then we can make Sinestro more or less an agent of Parallax, and now...
Even though he was a Green Lantern for a long time.
Well, he was a Green Lantern... not very long, but, like, he was a Green Lantern who trained Hal Jordan and then fucking became an asshole. Like, he was a Green Lantern for... He was always...
But he was always a dick.
He was always a dick. Yeah, even when he was a Green Lantern, he was a dictator who fucking subjugated his own people to try and, like, maintain order. I love Green Lantern Rebirth. It's a perfect retcon. If you've never read a Green Lantern story, you get everything you need from this one book.
Yeah, but it's also steeped in, like, all this shit.
But you don't even need it! Like, that's what's so great. It's steeped in backstory. It unapologetically is steeped in backstory. Like, Guy Gardner is the fucking warrior. He becomes warrior. At one point, he's at, like, the ballpark with Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart's wearing, like, regular clothes. And he goes, like, yeah! And he fucking, like, transforms and gets his, like, stupid fucking, like, wrestler paint on his face. He's like, I'm the motherfucking warrior! And you're like, that sucks!
Do you need a weapon right now?
I'm proud of that.
No!
No, but I'm so jacked and awesome!
Yeah. You know what's great about this? This art is fucking awesome.
Yeah. I love Ethan Van Sciver's art. He doesn't get nearly enough credit, doesn't get enough books.
Yeah. The coloring, too, was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. No, it's just... That's the thing. It's like old school Michael Bay. It's good Michael Bay. It's like The Rock.
Yeah.
Like, this is fun.
Just a quality action.
Smarter than The Rock. You know what this is? This is True Fucking Lies.
Oh.
That's what this is. That's not Michael Bay. That's James Cameron. That's smart Michael Bay. Smart Michael Bay is James Cameron. Fucking Green Lantern Rebirth is a James Cameron movie. Smart, but it also knows how to handle action. Might be a little straightforward. You might have seen these stories a couple times, a couple of places, but you won't see them better than in this.
Yeah. It's classic for a reason.
Yeah.
Classic story.
Exactly.
And holy crap, you get some big moments.
And you get some big fucking moments.
Yep.
Thanks a lot for watching this episode of Backers, everybody. We'll see you guys next week with another episode. I am Sal.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Ben.
Keep reading.